evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. Few announcements and outings and so on, and events we have coming up. Our big event is the Best in Show that's coming up. Saturday, we're going to have the judging. The following Friday is when we need as many people as possible to show up to Lincoln Square to help hang prints. And then February 12th, which is Sunday, is when we're going to have the public critique and the teardown. So we could use a good show there to show people what our club is about.
So, yeah, that Friday, the 3rd,
Yes.
if people want to come out around 5, that would help. And then the 12th, the critique day, we'll do that at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
It lasts about an hour. And then we help take those photos that are unclaimed. We take down so Janet can take them back to the office.
Then we're planning an outing on February 4th, which is rather up in the air right now. It was originally planned to go to Starved Rock or Frozen Waterfalls. Well, with the weather we've had, it's far from frozen. It's probably going to be more like mud and slop and water. So we may do something different. I'm seeing reports that there's large numbers of snow geese at Emiquon, which was one of my goals this spring. If it works out, we may do our March outing on February 4th up to Emiquon and then do something different in March. But I'll put out some emails about that soon as we can figure out what this weather's going to do. Our next meeting is February 13th. Excited about that one. Holly Burke-Smith is coming in. She's going to put on quite a class and show on off-camera flash. I've seen her work and I've seen her classes. She's really good at what she does. The February 27th meeting, we're planning to do a Best in Show wrap-up. So we'll let everybody know how things went with the Best in Show. And then the March 13th meeting, I will not be in town, but that'll be Mike Jeffords and Sue Post with the Borneo trip. That ought to be an exciting photos for that. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I want to introduce our guest tonight, Bruce Griffith, our guest speaker. He's one of the recent additions to our membership, and he's going to talk tonight about his work in action photography, including air shows. It'll cover his photography from 2010 to the present day. He will present photos from the many styles he's tried, including those from his favorite type of photography. He will talk about camera equipment he's used in settings, stories of the people he has met that helped him, and those he has photographed will be shared. Buckle up and be ready for a thrill ride through his photography. Nice to have you tonight, Bruce, and take it away.
All right, here we go. I'm going to show a couple videos first. One is my video, the first big event that I photographed for skydiving. First slideshow I ever put together, so don't laugh too much about it. I mean, there's how many times I went through this thing to make sure there was no double photos? Well, I should have went through it a few more times. They're going to find some double photos in that. But this event was in 2013. It was the Germans came over to Skydive, Arizona to do a record. It was a German national record. It was like, I think it was 217 people to do this record. So, and they got it. The last day they were there, the first load up, they got the record. And the air was flowing at that at 9:30 in the morning.
Able to see?
base of the formation. They have to build the base. If they don't build the base, then they can't build anything. Here they line up as far as each person in the aircraft, and they rehearse this over and over and over again.
How many planes does it
There's
take?
10 aircraft in this formation.
Wow.
Each aircraft holds 23 skydivers. And they'll be on oxygen. There's an oxygen tank in the aircraft, and along the fuselage, there's a line that runs. They wear like the nasal cannula, like you get in the hospital or something. And as soon as they get ready to exit the plane, they unhook from the aircraft, and they just have the nasal cannula courses under their helmet, so they just bring it down with them. One reason a lot of people do this at Skydive Arizona, it's one of the biggest drop zones in the world, and they have the aircraft.
So how high up are they jumping from?
They go anywhere from 17,000 up to the highest I've been on a ride was 19,500 feet.
Good God.
It took an hour for all the aircraft to get up to altitude. Skydive, there are a bunch of great people to be around. They're just all having fun, and they're doing. Now this is called a big way. They call them ways. Big way. There's a 4-way, 8-way, a 10-way, a 16-way, whatever. I rented a 500 millimeter lens from Tempe Camera. I mean, that's a huge camera store, 2 stories. You name it, they've got it to rent. So these were taken with a 500 millimeter lens.
It's actually helpful for them to have different clothes, different colors on. When they do these records like this, they have judges that come in and they look at the video and the stills, and they check they do it in slow motion. And if you're supposed to have a hold of an arm and you have a hold of a leg, it doesn't count. Well, some of them that are out farther, those are the video. They had 5 guys doing camera flyers. Videographers, they call them, or camera flyers. This is all done by imitation. Do they get the world's best? This is a world team, so they get the world's best. These guys don't get paid for this or nothing. They do this all on their own. They come over here from other countries, fly over.
How far apart do they have to be before they pull their chutes?
But far enough they don't get tangled up in each other. There's charts on the wall, shows, say they may start breaking apart at 8,000 feet. 8,000 feet, one group goes, 7,000 feet, the next one, 6,000 feet, and so on. There's a base there.
One person has an orange suit on. Is that the first guy that everybody starts attaching to?
I can't hear you.
The orange suit. The orange, the guy?
On the base?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just,
What's your
he
base?
may be the lead guy. He's gonna open his canopy first.
What's the altitude of your base airport?
Oh gosh, I should know that, but I'm not sure.
It's okay.
It might be around like 1,000 or something,
Okay,
It's in Arizona, so it's not, it's not real high.
okay.
When you see 200 plus, say 225 canopies, all of a sudden just burst open. I mean, there's just no way to photographs, like going to the Grand Canyon, trying to photograph the whole Grand Canyon, you just can't do it. Like I say, this is my first event, so. Since I put some of these slides into motion, you know, they're just, that's one of the camera guys there. You can tell him.
Yeah.
And the colors are just, it's just amazing how much color it is. You know, you always look for somebody to get in front of the moon when it's out there in the air. That guy's from Russia. He's one of the camera guys. He was from Russia. A lot of these I took with that 500mm lens.
How do they operate the cameras?
Well, some of it's video, some of it's still, they got a bike switcher, they got an automatic feed for it. You'll see some photos later on of camera guys close up. They use a bike switch for the stills. Because you need both your arms when you're landing. That controls steering and brake when you get ready to land. It's like an aircraft. When they get ready to land, they pull those down. The front of the canopy pops up, and they're able to land. Some not so good. I've seen broken legs and everything else. That's Norman Kent. He's a world-renowned video guy. There in that yellow-red jumpsuit. I got up on the building, on the roof of the building, took some of these. I pretty much get access to these drop zones anymore. Oh, I want to point out, those are concrete blocks. They're the solid blocks, you know, they're like about 3 inches thick. See those white things in the grass? Those concrete blocks, they're all along that edge. It's called the beer line. I got a story I'll tell you about that a little bit, about the beer line. There. That's Norman Kent. He's a world-renowned camera guy with the skydivers. He goes, I've seen him many times, even here in Illinois. Look at his camera outfit.
No one knows that ways.
He's got like, I'm not sure how, but he's got like on the far side of the helmet, the camera on top, he's got like a hard drive there that captures all the photos. Because he's landed well, like at Skydive Chicago, which is in Ottawa, Illinois. He's handed that to me and I had to take it in to the person so they could look at the photos. But yeah, that's these guys don't use GoPros. So if you're wondering how you can carry 2 cameras, there's one way to do it.
Well, you can see the oxygen
Yeah,
thing there.
yeah.
And why, I don't know any of this, why would they have to have oxygen before they take off? So they
They're
take
going
off,
up so high in altitude, they have to have oxygen on.
so even the pilot has oxygen?
Oh, yeah,
And-
yeah.
because they have-
Well, I hope so. When I ride along on these big boy things up that high, I'm checking my oxygen all the time, make sure it's on. Because there has been some skydivers almost pass out because they weren't getting oxygen. Of course, this being my first event, they didn't really know me there, so I had to talk to Larry Hill. He's the owner and the one that started all this stuff. To talk to him to get access out to the aircraft and stuff. But now most of these people know me so well that I just show up at the drop zone. Long as I sign a waiver, that's what I say. If I don't sign a waiver, it says I could be killed or injured, probably not gonna be fun to photograph. Okay, this video here is not mine. This is the Germans, when they came over to do their record. They wanted some of my photos, so I said, hey, I'll give you some of my photos, give me some of yours. So I got this video from them. That clicking is the shutter on the camera. You'd be able to tell the ones from Skydive Arizona and the ones from Illinois. Imagine like there's 217 people there in the air. They're building. See, the base is already built, so here they come. Look straight down, the airport's right there. That's when they got it, at 9:30 in the morning, they landed. They have a little trailer they bring out with beer in it for these people, you know. They're, at the end of the day, of course, they don't let them drink while they're skydiving. And they were like,
Do they only do one jump a day?
oh, no, they can do 4 or 5. They, you know, the minute they get in, it's usually like 2 hours in between loads. People wonder how I ever got into this stuff. That's me sitting there with that, in a Cessna, 16 years old, learning to skydive, still in high school. That was me. I was the only kid in my class skydiving. I love skydiving and I liked aircraft. Some other photography. This is in Arizona. Bridges. I like bridges. This was a little HDR stuff that I did. A couple bridges and that. You know, I was just learning. I'm trying to figure out what do I want to do. What do I want to do? I thought, well, okay. I thought landscape, and I thought, there's so many people doing landscape. And how do you photograph, you know, like the Grand Canyon or something? I mean, so I thought, well, I'll try some HDR. Here's another HDR photo. This is downtown Phoenix. We did a walking thing around Phoenix one day, just taking photos, a little bit of HDR. Here's a train ride from Williams, Arizona to the Grand Canyon. I got in the last car. I'm in the last car. There's a platform out. That's probably, you know, width of the car, and then sticks out maybe 4 or 5 feet. So I got on the, you had to pay extra for that, but they had food in there too. So that was worth the thing. Here's another trip to the Grand Canyon. I went there, and I forget what town I went to, close to the Grand Canyon. I paid the tour bus picked us up. It was like a van, you know, like 12 or 14 people. And got talking to the driver on the way, and he does photography. And so he said, hey, we'll drop the people off, they can do their thing, I'll drive you around and you can take photos. So he drove me all around different places to take photos. You know, I tried some of this stuff. You can see there's still a little bit of snow on the ground. Okay, another thing, this is Vegas, of course. It's not taken from the building, I'm in a helicopter. I did a helicopter ride in Vegas. Another thing, sign a waiver. I'm using a 70 to 200 lens, 2.8. And I had no idea if the photos were going to turn out because, you know, the helicopter is moving and things, so that I was really happy the way they turned out. More Vegas. This is in an RV resort, a big RV resort, fancy RV. They have these shows all the time, at least once a month. This is a tribute for ABBA, the band ABBA, group ABBA. And I took like 900 photos at this event. This is where I learned to shoot manual. And I really wasn't looking at the drummer, I was looking at the two ladies all the time. But I noticed if you go through a lot of the photos of the drummer, his expressions were just unbelievable. He was really getting into the drumming, so. This is another photo from one of the concerts at the RV resort. It's the Righteous Brothers. Well, there's only one left, right? And that's his daughter. They were up there singing. Again, manual. Sha-na-na. I mean, they had the Blues Brothers. They had Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers. I've seen the Oak Ridge Boys. I don't like country at all, really. So Larry Gatlin was there, and they were singing. And I'd go up the center aisle, up to the stage. I was using the 24-70 lens. I'd get up to the stage and get some close-up photos. I'd go sit down later. And one time I went up there, and he was up there on a stool singing by himself. He stopped right in the middle of the song. Are you back up there again? I said, well, no, that was my twin brother. And he says, well, he was one ugly dude. And we had the audience, they were just rolling, you know. So I went back and sit down, and then I went up there again a little bit later. He was singing a song again. He stopped in the middle of the song. His brothers were over at the table taking a break. He said, guys, come over here. We're here to take photos. So his brothers got up there and stood in front of the stage with him.
and I went to take the photo, my battery went dead.
Oh, no.
I did not tell him that my battery's dead. He said, did you get it? I said, yeah, I got it. Because I was not about to tell him that my battery went dead. So it's like, oh, that never happened again, believe me. A luau at the RV park. These guys came in and did this stuff. I belong to a photo club, the West Valley Photo Club. It met at Sun City, Arizona, in a real posh country club. One of the members of the photo club was belonged to this, so they had their meetings there. We get there early. They had a real nice restaurant. Some of us would eat. But this is green screen. I tried green screen for a while. And one of the things was the stick man. Everybody had a stick man. And every month they had a theme. It could be anything, you know, stairs or architecture or pets, whatever. You could bring in 5 photos that you took of the theme, and then you could bring 2 if you use your stick man. That stick man's been on cruises. He's been to Las Vegas. And that's just the green screen shots, what that is. So, you know, I tried that for a while. That was kind of fun, the green screen stuff, but still couldn't. Okay, this is Arizona, the drag boats. I've done this 3 times at the south side of Phoenix, where they do these drag boats, you know, and some of them are 250-mile-an-hour boats. And I always do, when I do these things, in air shows especially, I do the VIP. You know, you can get in the air shows free. I do the VIP section. You may pay $120, but believe me, it's worth it. It's a big fenced-in area. They got chairs from the fence back, so many rows of chairs. And then there's huge tents, and the food is catered in, and the food is unbelievable with the food they bring in. You get there in the morning, they got donuts, bagels, juice, coffee, everything. It's all free. You've already paid for it. They have water and soda all day long. They usually give you 2 drink tickets, so if you want beer or something, you can get that. But, you know, it's just well worth paying the money to have a place to do photography. I get there early, get a front seat right up by the fence. The drag races there in Phoenix, I love drag racing. I always have from back when I was a teenager. Okay, this is the Police Canine Association there. We're in the Phoenix area in Arizona. Every year they have what's called the Desert Dog thing, where they have a competition for the dogs. And this part is usually at a ballpark somewhere, you know, maybe one of the communities, you know, they have a large ballpark. So they have this is open to the public, and the guys in the padded suits come out there, and they bring the dogs out one at a time. When they bring them dogs out, and they see them guys in the padded suits, them dogs want to be let loose. They are ready. Because they're not supposed to do anything on command, but sometimes when they take the leash off that dog. I met a guy, he was a retired Tucson police officer. He goes out into the field there and takes photos. He's a photographer. He said, now Bruce, I can get you out there into that field. If you want to come out there, I'll get you out there. But he said, if that dog gets a lock on you, do not run. He said, just man up and take it. Man up and take it. And I'm thinking, nope, I got enough lens. I don't need to be out there. So, you know, I'm not going to take that. So. I used drones for a while. This is Huntington Beach, California, just a drone shot. This architecture stuff here, big construction. This was Allstate making a big complex. There was about 3 or 4 of these buildings. There was tower cranes all over, and haven't worked in construction all these years, especially up in Chicago for 5.5 years. You know, I just love construction and that, but I walked around there and took some photos, and I just couldn't find what I wanted. Okay, this is El Centro Naval Air Station. It's in California. It's kind of between Yuma, Arizona and San Diego. Twice a year, they have photo shoots there. And these are all, I never realized how many aircraft photographers there are. So there's a line there, 50 foot off the runway. He took us out in vans or a bus, and we had stood out there all day. No water, no food, no restrooms. We're out there taking photos. Aircraft 50 foot off the runway. You never know. It could be 6 aircraft all day, or it could be, 50 aircraft. So you just never know. But we're there doing these photos. There's one there. Okay, this is another photo shoot. I went to Dallas. Remember the crash just a few months ago? The B-17 and I think it was the P-39 collided and killed everybody on board. Well, I went there a week early because they had an air show at that airport at the time. We were going to do air-to-air photography, so I paid to do that, so I went to Dallas. And this is a Caribou. It's a Vietnam-era aircraft. It's got 21 bullet holes in it from Vietnam. This aircraft was actually in Vietnam. And when they have this air show there, they try to bring in pilots or somebody that crewed these aircraft, actually. And the crew chief came, and him and us got to be friends. We're both Vietnam vets, so we talked a lot. But then they took us out to this little airport outside of Dallas. And these planes were doing low passes and stuff, real low. And they had an air show. Guy did aerobatics out there and stuff. But I flew in one of these in Vietnam, and I got kind of emotional about it. And I told my friend I was with, I said, I got to I'll go away. So I went away for a while and recomposed myself. And then I came back there and was doing these shots of this aircraft. This is when we did the air-to-air photography. And we had to be tethered in there. There's a cable run there. We had a harness on, of course, and then we had tethered into because you start shooting aircraft and walking away, especially at the end there where the doors, because the whole back end opens up, so you don't want to step off the aircraft. So I have a harness I wear. I'm using my 7200 here. I have a harness that hangs a camera and that on it. It has a tether on it too, so I don't lose it or something. I took that camera and lens, and then I had my GoPro also. The other aircraft that we're using was this, the Baron, I think it is. Baron, and I took this out the window of my aircraft to the other guys shooting. So they had a P-40, P-51 flying behind us. There's P-51 again. And a Corsair flying behind us. I mean, they got up close. And we were able to photograph. That was quite an experience. And then when I was done, I took a ride in the P-51. That cost a chunk of money. That was extra, of course. I'm there in the back. Where I'm sitting used to be a fuel tank and a radio. So I got a parachute on, of course. And the pilot, he was an airline pilot for American Airlines. And he said, now you have to get out. He said, I'll tell you, because I had a headset on. He said, I'll tell you, I'll eject the canopy, then you can get out. And that black thing there, it's got some instruments in it. And so you have to release a lock and slide that thing forward to get out, if they had to get out. So we were doing some 4-point rolls upside down and all kinds of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I had my Canon 2470 again. Shot from the aircraft. I got a lot more pictures, but that's the P-51 I flew in. The other person behind that's his wife. She's an airline pilot too. She flew 747s. I don't know what them planes cost back in the 40s, but they're several $1 million now, what they cost. Another air show, Blue Angels, Thunderbirds. In May, we got an air show to go to. It's in the Scott Air Force Base. It's in Illinois, it's closer to St. Louis. There's an air show there I want to go to. I've been there before. This was taken with my, this is F-16, taken with my 600 millimeter lens. I just sold it not too long. I wish I never sold it now. I have a 600 millimeter lens, the 2x extender on it, on a 1DX camera. So total investment in that whole thing is $20,000. So, but it takes fantastic photos, you know. There's a big difference if you got a 600 millimeter that's say $600 and one that's 12,000, you know. It's just fun. But sometimes I'm amazed what photos I get, because I really don't know when stuff are moving this fast. So you just hope for the best. This was taken at March Air Force Base in California. We went to Paris, California. There's a big skydiving place there. We're doing probably another world record or something there. And we drove over to this Air Force Base, and they have a huge museum there, and rode around on a trolley that the guy explained all the aircraft and everything. And this happened to be doing some takeoff and landings, and I jumped out and took some photos of it. Another F-16 there, fireman. F-18. Again, I think this was taken with the big lens, seeing how close it is. Okay, this is in Skydive, Arizona. When I'm using that big lens, I have a mat I lay on with a real small pillow I put under my head. And I'm waiting for the aircraft to come over to drop the skydivers. And this jet flew over. I'm going to say, you know, what are they at, 30,000 or so? And that's that big lens, you know, it captured, you could read the numbers on the bottom of the wing. This is Skydive, Arizona. It was called prom night. All the skydivers and their girlfriends or their wives or just all skydivers, some, you know, they dressed up. And I mean, some of them were, you know, had suits on and ties. And they wanted me to photograph this. They had this backdrop, and I'm thinking, oh, I'd rather fly in an aircraft at 19,000 feet and do that than this, you know. I just don't like, because I've been asked, do you do weddings? I said, no, I will not, I don't do weddings and stuff. So I brought my laptop, I hooked my camera up to my laptop, and I control all my stuff from my laptop. You know, I could see the screen and that, and make sure everything looked, you know, the best as I could get it. Because my lighting in there was horrible. I could have used some other lighting, but I just had to go with what I had. Of course, I had the flash on my camera, so, but it was on the tripod, but I controlled my camera. And I had my tuxedo on, so I was ready. Okay, this is one of the balloon rides. I took about 4 balloon rides there in Arizona. And when I used to take my 24-70 and maybe my 70 to 200 lens. I thought, well, all I'm getting is the person jumping out. You're really not seeing where he's coming out of. So I said, I'm going to try my fisheye lens. So I tried my fisheye lens, and I liked it better. Just give a little more of what's going on there. We go up to 5,000 feet, and then they jump out.
Okay, this is Chicagoland Skydiving Center, what we call CSC. This is up in Rochelle on a helicopter they bring in for the 4th of July. They call these boogies, like 4th of July boogie, Christmas boogie, New Year's boogie, Thanksgiving boogie, whatever. It's just a fun term for a fun event. It's called a boogie. That's what this was, 4th of July. They're bringing some different, one year they brought in a Pitts aircraft. It's a dual wing open cockpit. And the skydiver would sit in the front seat, and they have a handle coming up out of the fuselage with a T-handle. Pilot would come and grab a hold of the handle, and all of a sudden he goes inverted. So they're upside down, and then the guy lets go, and then he falls out of the aircraft and skydives. Okay, I'm in the helicopter now. There's no door on this helicopter. I checked my seatbelt many times. But there again, using the fisheye, you know. Some of them jump out. Some actually crawl down and hang on the bottom of the skid. This guy's just getting ready to get out. A lot of these skydivers, they see a camera pointing at them. Oh boy.
Is that a GoPro he's got on his?
Oh yeah, you see a lot of GoPros. That's a big thing now in the sport is GoPros. But you see the professional guys, what they're using, so they're not using. Another helicopter they brought in one time was R-44, smaller helicopter. I didn't ride in that one. This is skydiver's take on a slip and slide. This tarp is about 200 feet long. Of course, they wet it down. They put some liquid soap on it, makes them slicker. And they come down, either they sit down on this tarp and slide it, or they lay down and slide. That's the, you see there's a GoPro down there. They had one sitting there to video. Just having fun. You never know what they're going to do. You just never know. Okay, this is Kirby Chambliss. He's a world-renowned aerobatic and competes in air races, different things with his aircraft. Anytime you see Red Bull on something, you know it's going to be exciting. And he's also an airline pilot, and he's also a skydiver. And there's another one taken with a big lens, a 600 millimeter lens. Mountains. This is in Skydive, Arizona. Every year he puts on an air show there for something. Taking the big lens. This is an air show. This is called, we got two F-35s. We got a P-51 and an A-10. We call these heritage flights. Sometimes they have more aircraft than this flying altogether. This is taken at Oshkosh Air Show. Probably one of the biggest air shows we're in. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen so many aircraft in all my life up there in Oshkosh. I went up there. I took my RV up there and went about a week early. Stayed in the RV park right on the airport. They have aircraft from, like I say, all over the world come in this air. This is B-29. It's docked, the only two B-29s flying. This is like the aircraft that dropped the bombs in Japan during the war. Little fireworks stuff I took. This is my setup for skydiving. I take this thing. I got rid of the plastic thing with the doors in it. I didn't really need that. But, I just the backpack there has got the 600 millimeter with a 2X extender and a 1DX camera. And then I use a 5D Mark III. I got a 5D Mark IV. And my two primary lenses were 24-70 and 100-400. Well, finally I got tired of carrying two cameras because a lot of times I need close-ups or something, so, you know, I carried the 24-70, but now I got a 28-300 millimeter Canon L lens. And I got rid of that wagon and got another one because I seen someone had a wagon like that with a flip-up tray in the back with cup holders and stuff, so I had to have that. This is it, Skydive Arizona. Yeah, the way I size these, they come out kind of, the lens is a little bit longer now. That's the 500. I do it all handheld, air shows, everything I do handheld. I tried a tripod once with the gimbal, just, you know, everything just moves too fast. You know, it's just people coming in from every other way and aircraft flying different ways, and it just doesn't work. So I do it all handheld.
What shutter speed are you using?
I try to keep it anywhere from 1600 to 2000. I shoot most of my stuff in aperture priority. There's not very many people that do what I do, not to the extent I do. I mean, you'll have, you know, Arizona especially, spectators come out there. They'll spend the day out there. They have picnic tables, they have bleachers, they have restaurant people bring their food, they'll just come out there and they're like, they see, well, are you for the newspaper, magazine? No, I'm just, well, can you look at my camera? My pictures are blurry. So the first thing I do is look through the view. Okay, their shutter speed is 1/30th, 1/60th of a second. I said, well, you need to get your shutter speed up. Well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. You know, I try to help them as much as I can, you know, reset it and try to get it, tell them what to do. So, you know, I said 1/30, that's not going to work, and not for this kind of stuff. So, it's like, okay, there I am going up in the aircraft on one of those big wave things, you know, up to, I don't know what this one was, 17,000, 18,000 feet. So, for some reason, I had a mask that time, but usually it's just a nasal canyon. Now, when I go in the aircraft, the only thing I ever take in the aircraft is, of course, the camera with 24-70. I don't take anything longer because it just gets in the way. You know, it's cramped up there to begin with, so that's all I take. I don't have to wear a parachute when I'm riding right seat. I don't have, of course, I have headphones. I have my own headset now, so you know, which is better. So I might have, I don't know what I took that photo with. I don't know why I did just my regular camera. But. Okay, I said, you know, these are diagrams. This is what they make for those big wave things when there's 200 plus, even smaller ones. But up there, this says base 45. There's 45 people just in the base, so you know, this is a big thing, and it shows the aircraft, the exit, you know, who exits first, and who's there, who's all the people, and then the exit strategy, you know, and then the breakaway points, what altitudes they start breaking away. And, like I say, this is just, it's just so well rehearsed, just over and over and over again. I also have a 20-foot pole that I use sometimes. Put my camera up there with a wide-angle lens, and of course I got a remote for the shutter, so I use that sometimes. This gives a different perspective of what's going on. And I really look professional when I get that out. So. You know, just another shot.
What kind of a pole is it? Does it have some kind of,
It's a telescoping pole.
oh,
It's
okay.
like fiberglass. It's made for photography.
I was gonna say it has a, like a monopod thingy on the top.
Yeah, yeah. Got two different sizes I can put on it. You know, and then like I say, I usually use the wide angle lens. And, it's just something different. I mean, I've got a lot of photos I've taken with different places. That's just some of the aircraft landing there to take off, or getting ready to take off. Skydivers, like I say, there's 10 aircraft in the formation. Okay, this is one of the shots I took from the aircraft. Being 2470 aperture priority. I still have to keep a higher shutter speed because, you know, when they start falling, you can see no, don't do that. Well, they go. Well, you
Don't fall.
You're tethered.
right down here, you see the base. See the guy looking back toward, that's the camera guy. You can tell they got like little wings that come out from their jumpsuit under their arms, and it helps stabilize them, helps them to fall and maneuver. Of course, he's falling backwards, so, you know, and the other guys are, I mean, they coming out, they just come out any way they can get out. And I like to fly left trail in the aircraft, which is mean on the left side of the formation and more towards the back. And that way I can see most of the other aircraft. And you wouldn't believe how close we actually are when they're coming up to getting ready to jump. We can actually get kind of close.
Wow.
The guy farthest back on the fuselage, there's what's called a camera step there. It's like a 4x4 piece of aluminum that's, of course, riveted into the aircraft. That's called the camera step. And there's a rail that runs on the top of the fuselage they can hold on to. So it's,
So they're already starting to grab on, it looks like. They're already starting to form things as they're jumping out.
yeah, the guys that are out on hanging on the outside, they just hang on to the bar up there and hope for the best. This is another formation. This is these people are going to fall vertical. There's two kinds of skydivers. It's called the belly and the free flyers. Free flyers are the ones that do vertical. They're either heads up or heads down formation. They build formations that way. And these are the free flyers. They're doing vertical. There's the base. You can see they're all holding how they're holding hands. Oh, they actually build big formations that way too. Okay, this photo was taken with the 500 millimeter. This photo was taken with the 600 millimeter with the 2X extender, which makes a big difference. Now it's hard to keep a focus on this because as they're falling, I have to keep pressing the shutter to refocus. So, and if I lose it, it's hard to pick them up again with that big lens.
Are you in the air or are you on the ground?
No, I'm on the ground. No, I don't jump anymore. Just right in the aircraft. Again, you can see the camera guys out farther. Okay, this is something I do. This is Lori. This is in Arizona. She's a retired paramedic with the Tucson Fire Department. She's making her 6,000th jump.
Now, if I find somebody that's doing something like that, I try to get out there and get a good photo of them under canopy when they're getting ready to land. And this is what I do for them. I make this little thing. I make two of them. One I leave like this, the other one I take it around and have people sign it. They put whatever, congratulations, or whatever they want to put for that person. I put them in a nice frame and I give them to them. She was making her 6,000 jump that day, skydive Arizona. Now, if somebody's making their 25th jump, there's licenses. There's A, B, C, D license. If somebody's doing that, say they're A license, if you make 25 jumps and you complete all the evolutions that you have to do, you get your A license. So if somebody's making their 25th jump that day, I'll go out there and I'll take a photo. I'll do the same thing. I'll take a photo of them. I'll put a heading under there, where they are, the date, and say jump 25. And then I give it to them. Just something they appreciate. Okay, I've been asked to do weddings. This is one wedding I did. This is in Montana. The skydiving event. This was their 50th anniversary for this skydiving event. They jump all summer. This is a big event they have. This year, this was 2017, there was 750 plus people registered to attend this thing. Skydive Arizona always sends the aircraft up there because all they have is a Cessna. Well, you're not going to get 750 people jumping out of a Cessna. So they sent 5 aircraft, 3 Otters, 2 Skyvans, and the DC-3. When the DC-3 landed, it landed with 1 engine coming from Arizona. It had an oil leak. So anyway, they fixed that. But I was walking around the drop zone taking photos, and they paged me at Manifest. Manifest is where you go to get your jump tickets and, what flight you're going to be on and stuff. So I went up there and said, oh, what do I do now? So I go up there. It was Norman Kent, the guy that I showed you earlier with all the cameras on his head. He said, would you photograph on the ground the wedding for them? They got married in the DC-3. Would you photograph? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I said, okay, I'll do it. So luckily everything turned out all right. So then they came out and they did, they got together. And then they went out to jump, the bride and groom, with a plane load of people. And I did the ground stuff as they were coming down to land. I did that because he was up in the air photographing them up there. So I did that. It's a skydiver wedding. One of the runs with the DC-3, they do about 2 or 3 loads a day is all they do in this thing. And the load went up, and I'm laying there on the ground with my big lens, and I'm waiting for it to come over. Well, here it comes, smoke coming out of the right engine. I said, well, that ain't good. So it was about 7,200 feet. They said they had everybody get out. So then they landed and took, but that photo made it in one of the skydiving magazines. Had 3 guys come jumping around parachutes. They quit you jumping around back in the 70s when they come out. They call the other canopies, they call them squares, not really squares. They're round canopies. So they were going to jump these things. And they jumped out of the DC-3. So what I did, with some of these, I turned them into black and whites, and then the DC-3 I turned into black and white. So it's back in the 50s or 60s. So. And then, of course, everyone that was there had to see them land in those round parachutes. Because when I tell them I used to jump in round chutes, you're still alive? One person said, did they have parachutes back then? I said, no, come on. It's like, okay, this is a malfunction. I'm sitting there one day, Skydive Arizona, my back to the landing area, and all of a sudden, everybody's yelling at Bruce, Bruce, get your camera. What now? I turn around. That's the main parachute up above the ribbon. Okay, what they do, they have a malfunction. They have what's called a cutaway. They pull a lever, the main chute goes away. It just goes away. It's a nylon cord that goes up to rings that connect the harness to the canopy, and when they pull this thing and pull that nylon cord out, and the main canopy goes away. But you have to pull all the way. You can't just pull. What happened was, I guess she didn't pull enough. She was from, I don't know, she was out of country somewhere. So she did not pull it. She's lucky that the main canopy didn't get into a reserve canopy, because she would have been dead, of course. So, but she landed all right, and because one of the friends of mine said he went out there and he pulled on that thing the rest of the way, and the main canopy went away. I don't know how many jumps she had. Maybe she got in a panic or whatever. Okay, this is the thing. I got paid for this. This is called, they were testing a new sky hook. And what this is if you do a cutaway to cut away your main canopy, it automatically pulls the reserve out. That's the reserve coming out right now. So this guy go up to about, I think, 5,000 feet, and he was doing these cutaways, testing this thing called the sky hook. They were trying to develop so it worked a little bit faster. So they wanted to know, this was taken with the 600 millimeter again. Would you photograph? We'll pay you. I said, well, yeah, I'll do it. So I'm doing it, and this guy jumps out. Well, as soon as he left the aircraft, of course, I was shooting away. I'd get 40 photos or more that I didn't even need. So I said, look, we need to set up a way so I know when you're ready to cut away. So he said, I'll take my arms and legs and I'll go like this. I said, okay. So, okay, then I didn't have to take as many photos. But he started doing that, and then I started shooting him. He also has a third parachute. It's a belly pack that fits on the belly, just in case. So, but they finally got that, and see, pretty soon it goes away. So. Okay, this is the Navy leapfrogs. They're kind of like the Golden Knights, or they're a demonstration team, but they're a Navy team. They were there at Skydive Arizona training. This is what's called a down. They call it a down plane. They have a whole different vocabulary skydivers do. They're doing this, and again, using my big lens. And they said, "Hey, can we see some of your photos?" I said, "Well, yeah." So I took them in. They had a room there. They got their laptop and I looked at it. Can we have a couple of these? I said, well, yeah, you can have a couple of them. I know professional photographers don't like that, giving away photos, but it's like, yeah, go ahead, you know. So they took one of the photos. They said, give me your address. I said, okay, we'll send you some. I said, I'm going to get a t-shirt or something. It was a big photo, I don't know, 18 by something was big. It said, you know, blue skies, my name. You know, it's something they put out. You know, just put my name in there. But there's photos of the leapfrogs and stuff. Then they sent me an email. Hey, congratulations! Your photo made the Navy website Photo of the Week. I said, oh, okay. The DC-3. There, I finally got to ride the DC-3. It took me a while, but I finally got to ride in the DC-3.
My goodness.
It was, they kind of overbooked this flight a little bit. It holds 42 people, the DC-3. They have to make 2 passes, of course, to get, because it's got a small door. They don't have a big roll-up door like the other there. So I got to ride the DC-3. So, of course, I have a parachute on when I'm riding in the back. I have to wear a parachute. So. Usually when I get in the aircraft like that, I'll yell out, "Hey, look this way," so everybody, they just love to get their photos taken. Chicago and Skydiving Center, sunset, I'll do something different. This is, of course, Arizona. I'm riding in the Twin Otter, the wind tunnel in the background there. It's not very, Arizona's not very green. Some mountains taken out. Again, 2470. One thing I always do when I get in the aircraft, before I get in there, I take the lens hood off. I don't know how many of you have had a lens hood fall off sometimes. I definitely don't want the lens hood coming off when I'm in the aircraft, so that's one thing I take off. And I always use a UV filter or something. I got one here that's all cracked and busted. That's the second one. So to me, it's a good investment. I'm banging around in the aircraft. I'm hanging my cameras on fence posts, on trees. I'm laying down in the grass. Just a lot of different things. So, it's just, I don't like to see people out there with expensive lenses hanging around their neck, banging around, and they don't even have the lens hood on it. So, I use it for protection more than anything. This is the wind tunnel. Go inside, I get access, anybody can go in, they got seats you can watch them, but I get to go in and I go inside you go in through it like an airlock, it's a pneumatic door that when people go in there, the door closes like an air chamber. And then there's seating in there and then they go into the wind tunnel. Well, I go to the door of the wind tunnel. I use my fisheye hands because they're up and down over. That way I just put it through the door and hit video, and I don't have to move the camera around. I do videos. And, the spectators. One of the spectators came on me one day. They said, "What's those tubes? Do they shoot them up out of there?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Just watch, and you probably see something. If they're working in there today, you'll probably see somebody come out of there." Every time I looked at her, she was looking over there at the wind tunnel. The spectators are just, one lady one day we're sitting there and she said, "There's people coming out of an airplane." We were like, "Should we call 911? And then you get the husband explaining to the wife what's going on. That's always a good one. I heard one say, "Honey, how high is that airplane?" Normal jump altitude is 13,000 feet. That's just normal. Anybody, any place you go. And he said, "Well, it's at 28,000 feet." I thought, wow, the Twin Otter must be pressurized because they don't have any oxygen. 28,000 feet. And it's like, what in the world? This is Skydive Chicago, Summerfest. Skydive Chicago is in Ottawa, Illinois. That's why I like. You point a camera at some of these people, you just never know what they're going to do. It's like, this is at CSC there in Rochelle. This guy is a demonstrator for one of the canopy manufacturers. He travels around as a salesman. So he's very good at what he does, very good. He's coming at me and I'm just taking. I was always told when I first started this, when I'm out in the landing area, do not move. It's their responsibility not to hit you. Do not move. So I'm frozen out there. Because if I go right and they decide to go left, that's my right, and I'm going to get nailed. And they're landing 30, 35, 40 miles an hour some others. So do not move. So he went right over top of me. It's like, This is Nicholas. He's part of Arizona Airspeed, one of the top 4-way teams in the world. They travel all over the world, competitions. They won the U.S. Nationals last year, and they won the world too. They won both of them over him. But he's that close. I mean, I could put my hand out and he would have hit my hand. He always gets that close. I've had people go on both sides of me, you just kind of, you trust them. Okay, this is just one of the camera guys. Oh, I got that there. One of the camera guys. A lot of times when they see somebody out there with a camera, they're like, whoa. I went to the U.S. Nationals last year. It was in Skydive Chicago. And there was 3 of us out there taking photos in the landing area. And some of them we were kind of close to each other. Well, a lot of them were trying to get to the camera. Well, the safety guy come out and said, you guys haven't done nothing wrong. You're fine what you're doing, but you have to get off the landing area for a little while until we get these people straightened out. Because these skydivers, they see cameras, and, I've had so many skydivers tell me, I never had a photo of me under canopy or landing. And which is true. The only photos they get usually is up in the air when they're doing whatever they're doing, making a formation, something, So a lot of times I get their photo. Sometimes we set it up, to get it, or I said, if you don't like the land, there's kind of a rule that the landing is done, the faster ones that come in are on one side of the landing area and the other guys are at the other end of the other side of the landing area, so. But this is a good friend of mine, Taylor. He's a young skydiver. He does video now for teams. He does wingsuits. He does so much different. He does tandem skydiving. He does so much. He's really into the sport. This was the flag jump. Gallagher. They were a car manufacturer that was starting a place there by Casa Grande, Arizona, and the people from Skydive Arizona were going out there, so I went out there and took these photos and doing some of the flag jumps and stuff. And this is guys doing crew it's called crew, but it's canopy relative work, and they do all kinds of. These guys are they're rotating around. The guy on the bottom they come around and he'll be on top, and the other guy will be on. They just rotate like that, around and around. And again, here's some crew. I like crew because they get out about 8,000 feet and they open their canopies right away, so, they make some big, I think the world record's like 100 people making a big formation with their canopies out. This is one of the world meets, this people landed. You might remember, I showed you this photo before. This is Skydive Arizona built this big pond so they could have this competition there. It's called swooping. It's over the pond. There's speed, there's freestyle, there's different distance and that, where they come over this pond, and some of them they drag their feet through the water. And during the competition, during practice, they had Eli and the police department went out with a radar gun, and they clocked one of these guys at 95 miles an hour coming over this pond. He lost his leg, artificial leg. He did. I guess this happens to him sometimes. Somebody sent this photo into Parachutist magazine, and it made the cover. I thought, I've had several photos in Parachute magazine over the years. Because you just send them in, and hope for the best. You can imagine how many photos they probably get. So I get $15 for a photo. Okay, there I'm flying in a Skyvan. This is, of course, in Illinois. That's my leg right there. That's how close I am to the outside of the aircraft. Of course, I have a parachute on. When we get up to about 2,000 feet, we undo our seatbelts. Because if you have an accidental deployment, which has happened in the aircraft, and you're still strapped in, it can about cut you in half when that canopy goes outside. So we take our seatbelts off, and I'm sitting there at the door, and the door open, and I think, oh, I'm gonna take photos. So there's a line in that. That's a Skyvan. That's the big one where the back end opens up. There's a line there on the floor, and if everybody tried to go out that aircraft at once, the thing could flip right over on its back. So the people have to stay behind. I have to get behind that line, of course, when I'm photographing. Again, 24/70 after priority. The guy in the red jumpsuit, he was an emergency room doctor. He's retired now. He's also a pilot. He loves the skydive. Flag jump. This is taken from the right seat, sitting next to the pilot. It's kind of hard to do. I almost have to turn around. Sometimes I can't hardly turn around all the way. I just start shooting. So hope for the best. But that's a girl on the outside. She's got a little antenna on the side of her helmet. She's a student. That's the instructor there. He'll talk to her on that thing so she can hear what she needs to do. Again, that's Norman Kent. He's the guy with all the cameras on the helmet. Okay, this is Craig O'Brien. He's a good friend of mine. He's from Paris, California. He's done some of the Hollywood stuff. I don't know if any of you saw the Tom Cruise movie, Mission Impossible. They were flying in a C-17, supposedly at 28,000 feet. Two of them jumped out at night to, do the mission. He did all the video for that. And I said, Craig, come on, this is hot. Were they actually 28,000? Yes, we were. He said, we were in oxygen about an hour before we even went up in the air. And they did that. And they had Tom Cruise come to Paris to do some skydiving. He said Tom Cruise was actually a very good skydiver. He does a lot of his own stunts, so. But he's still doing some of the Hollywood TV stuff. He is. He just switched over to Canon 5D mirrorless, or not 5D, 5R. This is him, skydiver. I'm laying on the ground. We set this up. I said, Craig, I'll go out there and I'll lay down in the landing area and you come over top of me. He said, oh, okay. So it took about 2 tries before we finally got it, but we did it.
It looks like he's gonna land on you though.
Well, I'm using 24/70, so, he's close. Some of these guys I just trust. Again, that's Norman Kent. This is one of the camera guys. Well, the camera guys always know what I want. They get close. That's Jen. She does a lot of videos for the tandem skydives. She's from Skydive, Arizona. Let me see her set up. See the eyepiece that comes down?
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing they use to aim the cameras. Another guy, he got pretty close. This guy here, he's got 3 GoPros. This is her name's George. She was the activities director at Skydive, Arizona. Now she works for the USPA. She had to move to North Carolina. That's where their headquarters are. But she moved there to work for them. And this was the competition she was at. She's a wingsuiter. doing a competition. She come by and got close, real close, and took that photo. And, oh, the wingsuit. Them wings, you can see it's unzipped right now, but before they get in the aircraft, they're walking around, and it's really baggy, and, you know, it's not zipped up, you know, how it looks like wings. Anyway, lady come over, she says, what are them people wearing? I said, well, that's a wingsuit. I said, when they get in the air, before they get in the aircraft, they zip it all up, you know. And she says, oh, I want to see that. I said, well, you won't see it because the wingsuiters get out quite a ways away, so they come back. And when they landed, she come over and says, now why did they open their parachutes when they landed? I said, I think their landing gears were stuck. And she thought they were just gonna glide in and land on the ground. I said, no, I don't wanna see that. So, you know, she's like, oh, okay. This is again the pond thing. Last year, out of Arizona. A lot of people photograph from the side as they're going over the pond. But I like to go out. I use my 100-400 and go out a ways. There's some trees there at Sky, Arizona, thorny trees, and I stand by those and because I like to see their facial expressions, you know. So this he's having a little control problem here, trying to get himself right. I'm like, whoops. Whoops. Pea gravel.
Ouch.
And then whoops. That's why I like to be out in front of them as they're coming towards me.
Wow.
This is using panning. I do this sometimes, panning. I'll do it even when they're landing in the grass. You know, I pick one. I kick it down to about one. I have my camera set, you know, I do absolute priority, but I have it set shutter priority where I can click it over and it's set at 1/25 of a second. That's where I like to shoot propeller-driven aircraft at. So I thought, well, I'm going to try some panning. So I did that, and I got this guy coming. See, they just drag 1 foot in the water a little bit, and they come through there. He's moving a pretty good clip. So
How deep is the pond?
the pond,
Yeah.
they built that at Skydive, Arizona. It's 4 million gallons of water. It's for competition. They use these for competition a lot. If you don't have this pond, you can't get some of the competitions. You know, you put in a request if you want a world or national or something. But if you don't have the pond, then you can't get some of this stuff. So they, of course, Skydive.
So it's not real deep then?
Oh, no. You can walk across it. I mean, you know, yeah. They have so much money there, Scott. They do a lot of military stuff. They got a lot of military contracts they do too. So, you know, they got quite a bit of money. They got 16 aircraft, all big twin aircraft. This shot here, this is just one of them. You know, when everything's moving so fast and happening, you just never know what you get. And this shot here was just unbelievable. Chuck Akers, he's been flying. I put all my photos on Facebook. That's what they've always done with it. That's what I do with them. You know, like I say, I send something into the magazines. I just put them on Facebook. Skydivers would love to see photos. I always say I'm a world-renowned photographer. Because I have friends from all over the world. When I first started, I had maybe, I was lucky if I had 250 friends on Facebook. Now I got about 850, and they're mostly all skydivers and pilots from all over the world. So this guy, he's competing, he's from Brazil. But Chuck Akers, the president of the USPA, he said, you should have sent that in, that would have been a cover photo. I thought, yeah, you know, you just never know. I think a cover photo you get like $200.
up at Skydive, Chicagoland Skydiving Center in Rochelle. SIS event, SIS. I've done 4 or 5 of these SIS events. The SIS stands for Sisters in Skydiving.
Mm.
It's all ladies. And they're just, they're just having fun here. They have a meal for them and stuff. Sunset photo. Yeah, kind of warped some of these photos when I resized them. So. I just had to use what I had. I didn't know where the raw files were. When I first started doing this, I was taking 500, 600, 700 photos at these events, Then I wouldn't do anything with them for a couple of days. Well, I learned that's not good. When I do an event, each day I have to edit them and post them. They expect them to be posted, and I learned that you can't let it go 2 or 3 days, and you're going through all them days of photos. I'll get an email from somebody 2 months or more after an event. Hey, I landed next to you. Can I get a copy of that photo? Okay. You got to tell me the day, the event. Because all my photos are in a file for that day, that event. You got to tell me the helmet color, canopy color, and jumpsuit color. And then I could go to that event and I look through the raw files, and usually I find it. So, first I look through the edited ones and I find the number, then I look through the raw ones and I find it. So I just email it to them. A lot of them use it for a cover photo or something on Facebook. That's U.S. Nationals at Chicagoland Skydiving safety briefing. And this is Chaz. She's a pre-flyer. She does vertical, so that's her coming in for a landing. That's it.
Thank you.
Boy.
You got something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'll sign up soon.
Yeah, I have a wide angle, 17 to 40, the fisheye, 18 to 15, 2470, 70 to 200. They're both 2.8, 28, 300 to 100 to 400.
So that's the
GoPro.
Very far from
Mary Park.
Park.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the, I need to talk to Kim about, I really love this one. But the out of Chicago guy that
Thank you,
started.
Bruce, for presenting tonight. It was very
Said-
enjoyable listening to
You can
you.
no longer take this.
Hearing about all your
because they
experience.
found
Well,
it.
that's quite
I
an
appreciate
episode.
you being willing
I
to.
can't get up there.
I
Hey, Dave.
said, oh, did you take that?
No way for me.
Chicago at the park, and he said, no, I
Thank
just
you.
went
Yeah.
in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, just put 'em over there.
In Des Moines,
Hi.
Iowa. But he said,
Thank
you
you.
can't take this one in Chicago.